Dr. Mike Chan is one of the true pioneers in the research and development of cellular therapy and stem cell research, starting in the 80s and for more than 30 years. And he is currently the director and senior technical consultant for 2M International Consultancy. Professor Mike has substantially brought cell therapy throughout and biological medicine throughout Europe and Asia. And he has a really unique scope of experience with this subject matter, having been working in stem cells and cell therapy since 1985 and operating 21 clinics in Asia and Europe. I sincerely doubt there's anybody with a broader hands-on range of experience and expertise in this area. So please welcome Dr. Mike Chan.
Thank you. Now, good afternoon. It's really my pleasure to be here, and I see the warmness here very much the last 2 nights, and I'm so pleased that I make the trip here, okay? For the last 9 days, I've been to 6 countries, okay? And everyone is asking me, don't you have jet lag? Never. I've traveled for more than 34 years of my life. Okay, and every week I'm traveling, but every Saturday and Sunday I try to be back with my family. So Saturday and Sunday is my full family day. That means I have to spend full day with them in the afternoon until night. When my boys sleep, they are 18, 20, and 21. 22, sorry, he got married last year. Then I will spend back my time into my office. I will drive back to my office. My home is very close to my office. Okay, so every month I go to Switzerland and Germany too. For 30 over years. My wife, Michelle, was with me for 38 years. I probably look younger than when I say 38. I'm 58 today. So, this year I'm 58, turning 58 in the next few days. So, I love what I'm doing very much. I travel across 65 countries. I went through very difficult areas. Okay, today we have been doing a lot of stem cells, not only for the adults, we've been doing a lot for the children too. And every children we are treated, the underprivileged children, which I always use the word children of the lesser God, because they could be Down syndrome children, cerebral palsy children, they could also be autistic children, and they come from parents who cannot afford treatments. We have on our outstanding list around 500 of them. And each time while waiting for their chance to come, there could be another child who will be needing some emergency treatments where they have to come up first and we treat them for free. So every 10 children we are treating, 1 is free. And every children we are treating, they are paying almost 50 to 60% of the actual price. That means sometimes we even have to compromise with our cost. They are treated at our cost. We don't make money from the children. It was never my idea to make money from the children. The same goes for Michelle, all right? Now, while treating the adults, okay, we do have a lot of VVIPs all along the way. We have head of state, we've been treating a lot. The Malaysian Prime Minister is 94 years old. His wife, 93 years old. They are both medical doctors. They are still running the country, you can imagine. So they must have good brains. Obviously, all of us need the good brains, because our brain after 40 will lose 10,000 neurons a day. So you must take care of your brain, because your brain controls the whole body. All right? We can. There's always a way to increase, to make you sharper. I always believe you have to be sharper as you age. I always like the word younger. We must be younger as we age too. It's so important. All right? Okay, I'll present my lecture now. Okay, sorry. Now, the word stem cell is so attractive, okay? And each time you see a word with stem cells, there are even with stem cell in the shampoo. There is stem cell with the treatment, stem cell in the cream. And each time there's a word stem cell there, you pay more. Don't you realize that? Even with the cream, you realize you pay more. Now, the word is stem cells. The word cell itself means there must be life. To be alive means you must have water, oxygen, and nutrients. So if they're going to give you something which they say they are life, they are stem cells, the first thing on your mind is you have to ask the common sense questions. Are they alive? Okay? And something in an ampule, you won't be alive because it's already in an ampule form. You know for sure they won't be alive. Okay? There's no oxygen. Now again in the cream, there won't be any stem cells in the cream. Impossible. So just bear in mind, to be alive you have the three things. And every cell will only survive on the petri dish for 72 hours. That means in the lab, when you produce the cells or you take out the cells, it will only survive for 72 hours. Before the 72 hours, you have to change the tissue culture media. It's like a baby who needs food. So in the tissue culture media, you have the water, the oxygen, and the nutrients. It's very important. So there's again, someone will tell you, I give you the stem cells, you have to ask certain questions now. Now, what will you be understanding throughout this lecture? There's certain things you have to understand, okay? Number one, there are many types of stem cells. Number two, some of them will work and some of them will not work, okay? Number three, some are not even stem cells and they claim to be stem cells. So you have to start asking questions now. Don't just do up a treatment without understanding if they are really what they claim to be. Okay, number four, they are really stem cells. But what kind of stem cells? Because there are so many types of stem cells in the world. Okay, so you make sure you get the right type of stem cells. So this is what I'm trying to deliver to you in this lecture. Okay, now the title is Stem Cell, Cell Extracts, Peptides, Exosome, what is working best for you? Yes, there's always a thing that will work the best for you. But you have to understand the situation of your condition too, okay? Now, basically, I'd like to introduce who we are. I started everything with $10,000 in Switzerland in 1985 with my wife. After returning from UK with my wife, we were going to get married, and then eventually we stopped by in Switzerland for 3 weeks. I was so entangled with all the top revitalization centers those days. There are many clinics there who offer youth restoration for the rich. So while looking through all the books, I bought back a lot of books. During the journey back home, I was telling my wife, if I were to got married and then I couldn't get a job in your place because I'm going to get married to her in another place. Okay, and this other place may not be a suitable place for me. Firstly, because they speak Chinese. I was English educated. I don't speak Chinese those days. You know, so I know I have a communication problem, and it was in a remote area in East Malaysia those days. It's in Kota Kinabalu. Today is a very nice place, okay? So I read through the books. They're talking about Down syndrome, diabetes. They're talking about kidney disease, all kinds of things from one of the famous author called Frank Smith, okay, who eventually became one of my mentors too, okay? Now, when I reached Malaysia, while getting ready to get married, my father-in-law, who treated me like a son, okay, looking forward to meet her daughter, who has been studying in UK for many years. All right, and the first thing I saw on my father-in-law was a very sad situation. His leg was swollen very much, which I suspect something will be wrong with the kidney. So I told him, why don't you go to a doctor and check? Because he's getting weaker. He used to go 5 km a day. He's a very health-conscious person, very tall, V-shaped at 72 years old, and true enough, he has an end-stage kidney failure. So the next 1 year we have, throughout the 1 year, we suffer very much. We went through a lot of things. My wife and I were sleeping on the floor. My mother-in-law is sleeping on the floor because those days we don't have money. So he's a government servant, so he is only offered a third level of treatments, and they only provide the bed for the sick. So taking care of a sick person tends to tell me one thing. Every man or woman, no matter how brave they are when they are in the hospital, they will cry because of the pain. Number two, I was a smoker and a drinker at those days. I changed my perception, and overnight I don't smoke and drink anymore after the 1 year because I see how he suffers. So it tells me one thing. Why must we born to be suffering like this? Why must we suffer? You know, there's no reason for us to suffer like this. What's the purpose of life then? You know? So because of that, I was questioning a lot of the doctors. You know, don't they have any other treatments for kidney end-stage patients? And along the way, there are many other patients who are staying along the place. They are sharing the room with many beds around, okay? There's dead people every day. So I come to realize the conventional method don't work at all. My father-in-law, being a very strong sports guy, died like a very teen, he's so teen that I cannot recognize him. You know, so immediately my wife totally distorted because she had not been with the father for many years. She came from a very poor family. They have to struggle to make her to study in UK, and now this is the end result. My wife and I went back to Switzerland and Germany and begin our journey. We want to find for the truth. And we worked for 3 years for free in Germany and Switzerland. That means we work for free. Our purpose is to steal the brain of our mentor. Okay, but they are not willing to accept us. So I have to struggle very much to show that we are very keen to learn. We are willing to do anything, be it a cleaner or be it an office boy or anything. We do everything. Because my main interest was I need to know the truth. We read all the books we have. Okay, and throughout the years in the 80s, then I got entangled with the Soviets. There are a lot of Soviet scientists who are doing stem cell research on the other side, you know, while the Germans are very close with cell therapy. And with the Swiss, the Soviets were doing stem cells research with human fetuses, you know. And here in Germany, they're just dealing with a sheep or cow or pigs. Okay, so to me, I learned both ways. I look through the top scientists, I understand what they're doing. They start with human fetuses to implant the cells. That's something I learned, but in the later part, most of the top scientists went back to Austria, and that's where we start the stem cell research to another level. We have to look for substitute, and that's where we come up with the rabbits and the sheep. Okay, but all along in Germany and Switzerland, they use a lot on the sheep, okay, and the rabbits. No, I mean on the sheep and the pigs. I didn't deal with pigs anyway, okay? Now, coming back to the background here, we are doing a lot of things here, so much that we own a lot of technologies. We have them, some of them patented. We manufacture them. We are the manufacturers ourselves, okay? Now, we do not have a marketing and sales team, surprisingly, until today. So how do we sell then? Without a marketing team, can you imagine? Even today, we don't have any sales manager. Neither do we have a sales boys. Okay, we sell by education. So across the time, in order to survive, we have to sell. Okay, and in order to sell, we have to create the awareness and the education. And we've been providing free education for physicians all over the world. And I say 65 countries today. So you can imagine how much we go. Every year, we've been going to medical conferences. Dr. D and I is traveling every week, but he's not the only doctors along with us. We have so many others. There are a whole team of doctors here who have to do their part. And throughout the 35 years today, we have yet to have a gathering of a staff gathering where everyone are together. Never. Whenever you take a photo, you'll never see everyone is together. Never. Not even on a Christmas day or on a Chinese New Year. They're never together. There will be some missing all the time because everyone has a job to do. Okay? But we really enjoy what we are doing. Why? Because you see the results. The more difficult is the disease, the more challenging it is for us. And we have to beat that challenge. Okay? All right. Now, next. Of course, we spend a lot of money. We did make a lot of money as a company because we started stem cell research in the very early days. In the 80s, no one even thought what is stem cells. When we mentioned the word stem cells, in 2011 in A4M conferences, where we came in as speakers, we talked about stem cells. There was a lot of hoo-ha and buzz, but it didn't went on that well. It was too early. We talked about exosomes in 2011. And that was in A4M in Las Vegas, but it was too early again. So I come to realize certain things are slower in certain countries. I would say in US, the stem cell research is very far behind the rest of the other world. All right? Because it could be due to previous presidents who have stopped and halted the research to a certain stage. We are so far ahead in the research, okay? While they are still doing something which I always say 25 years we have been doing this. All right? So we have to go a bit further. All right. Now, the next thing is education is important. We have to certify the doctors. We have to give the continuing medical education to them because doctors have to attend, and they have to get certain points, 50 points a year in most part of the world. Okay. Now, 10 years ago, we have been posed with a lot of questions all the time. After running the business for 20 over years, the doctors keep asking, Mike, you're saying you have been doing so many patients, okay? You have been supplying to 79 countries. We are talking about this disease, let's say multiple sclerosis or ALS, you know. How many patients you have treated yourself? So that poses a challenge to us because we are just the manufacturer and the educator. We provide the cells and the extracts to all these doctors. But we ourselves don't have any clinics. We supply to a lot of clinics, obviously. Even in Europe, we supply to 200 clinics, you know, 200 over clinics, and in Asia, it's all over the place. Every country, there are hundreds of doctors. Now, the question is now posed to us, which is very challenging. You don't have clinical experience yourself. You only have the clinical experience with the doctors who you sold to, okay? So we came up with a new way to handle it. We have been already the manufacturer, the researcher, the developer. So what else you have to go? We have to go the last step. So we acquire the largest regenerative hospital in the world called Paracelsus Clinic Luschmüller in Switzerland. Okay, and that clinic has been providing education for the last 17 to 18 years in US with biological medicine in New York. Okay, so I was the chairman and I tried to introduce a lot of new treatments to the center. Every day in that hospital is 350 patients. 25% of the patients are cancer patients, and they're coming from America, Austria, or parts of the world. So you can imagine how many exposure we have, and everyone is a challenge. And we love the challenge very much, okay? Now, of course, with the first acquisition, we went on and continued to expand, and today we have 21 centers across the world. We will be setting up one in Mexico very soon. I think it's very important one of these days we have to work with People Unlimited to have a good center here. So that will cut a lot of costs. That will provide a lot of costs. Okay? Now people do not have to travel so far to have those good treatments. Okay? Now a lot of things may be much cheaper than you imagine. Sometimes to treat a disease doesn't mean you have to spend a lot of money. Okay? Sometimes you do, but sometimes, most of the time, you may not have to spend so much. Okay? So it's time for you to understand why you do not have to spend so much too. Okay. Now, these are the centers we are having across the world, and you notice it's on most part of the other side of the world, the eastern side, and not on this side. And in the later part, I'm very sure it will come into US because we are having a lot of requests from patients too. Because for the last few months, after our presentation since last year, having a lot of doctors who refer patients to Germany and Asia. And I was telling that it's high time we have to look for some place. So we found a very close clinic to us where they have doctors who have been using our stem cell for the last 17 years. And it's in Tijuana, it's just across the border. And I went there a couple of times to observe. The good part is we already got the license to do the manufacturing, even for the xeno, all kinds of stem cells. The approval is already there, so in October we will start the manufacturing in a big way. Because if you start the manufacturing then by bringing the technology from Europe, we are going to cut costs. Otherwise, it will be very costly to send the cells, you know, all the way from someplace else and to US, to outside, to Tijuana. But along the way now, we still have to go with what we have to do. Because diseases don't wait. You have to understand, okay? So we have to move very fast. Now, just a general understanding of what is stem cells. Okay, it's nothing unique actually. It's already in your body. It's in every body of ours until the day you die. When you die, you have 0 stem cells. Now, just imagine, in the human body, you have 37.42 trillions of live cells. You have many cells, all over the 220 organs and tissue in the body. 220. Now, the brain itself, as one organ, will have 67 different types of brain cells. So that means to say in the brain, you have to know which part there is a disorder, and you have to treat that part. Okay, that is only the brain. But what about the pancreas? When you are trying to talk about people with insulin problems, diabetes, you know, then you have to give the islets of the Langerhans, but it is only 1 out of the 13 cells in the pancreas. The same goes for the liver. There are 75 cells found in the liver. The liver is a filter, but the liver is also a dustbin, so a lot of rubbish cells will surface in the liver too. So when we want to treat the patient, we are going to give hepatocyte. And you are throwing the dart at the dartboard and hit it bullseye. then you will get the very good results. It's not just to throw the dartboard and hoping to hit the bullseye, but you could end up, you don't even hit the board at all, then you get 0 point. So most of the time, it is so important for the physician to make a good diagnostic decision and prescription, because if he come up with a wrong protocol or not a protocol which is not good enough, obviously the patient will not see the results too. Okay, so in our medical team headed by Dr. Dimitro, we used to have a group of 6 physicians who will go through the whole files of the patient. So 6 brains is better than 1 brain. I always believe more brains are better. Okay, so you have different opinions. We have to interchange among ourselves, and then we make a final decision. Dimitri will have to sign off, yes, this is the one. But in between, most of the physicians have to discuss among themselves. Why you have to give these cells and why not that cells? So we have to understand too, okay? Now, I will always believe that it has to be a multiple united decision at all times. What is more important? The patient health, okay? It is more important is that you have to give the best for the patient. And of course, safety is important. First, do no harm, then talk about the potency for treatment. All right. Now, if you were to look carefully at this chart, you'll be also surprised that the cells, the number of cells from 1 stem cells out of 10,000 stem cells when you're born up to 2 years old, this seems to be dropping very fast until 1 out of 800,000 by the age of 60. You see the point there? That means to say you are going down quite fast. At the age of adulthood, you only have 1 out of 90,000 live cells. So just imagine the cells as the bees. You also have the queen bees. The queen bees are the stem cells. All right? And this stem cell is over your body, your organ, okay, and tissue. Now this is another chart compiled by us through our research. You can see carefully that with the dead you only have 0%, but 60 you only have 5% left. And I always tell myself I'm 58, so I only have 5 or 6% left, I guess. Okay, so that put me in another level. I will not want it to be in that level. Okay, so then you have to come up with the skill of reversing the aging. You can reverse aging. Now just imagine a car. You're driving a very fast car, Lamborghini. You're pressing on the accelerator all the time. It's going at a very fast speed, right? You are going to have a risk of knocking into some places, all right? You are going to have a risk of accident. But imagine while you're pressing on the accelerator all of yourself, you change the momentum by pressing on the brake. And you press back on the accelerator spontaneously. What will happen? The car will be going like this, and all of a sudden, it stops, it's jerked for a while, stop, and then it goes again. You are totally changing the whole momentum, the accelerations, and this is what we must do with the reversal of aging. In other words, you can reverse aging by 6 to 8 years or even to 10 years. But if someone were to tell me I can reverse and become younger by 20 years, I think it's quite impossible at this moment. But you can then drag on the aging years. We have to drag on. We have to drag and drag. So each time you're going there, you go a bit further like this, you go back again, you start and pull. It is like you have a very wild dog with you, okay, with a chain, and the dog is going very fast, and you pull it back, and then the dog go again. So this is what we are playing on, I believe, a delaying game. Delay the progression of the disease. The chances of getting the disease, we have to delay. Delay the sickness to come in. Extend the quality life along the way. Now, it's no point just to extend life. We are talking about life extension. Now we have to say, yes, we will extend our life, but we must also extend our quality life. It is so important, that quality life. Now, quality life means no pain, no ache. You can eat whatever you want. Of course, in life, everything is with moderation. Okay, I will not say you can't drink or you can't smoke. No, everything should be according to what you like to a certain extent. That's how I believe in quality life, and I believe it very much. So you must have everything unlimited to a certain extent. Okay? Now, next. The common type of stem cells found in 473 cells in your body. Okay, now we are talking about 473 cells found in the 222 organs. So there's so many types of stem cells. So which one is going to work for you? We also have to go into very detail in the later part. Okay, now for example, we talk about umbilical cord blood, which is quite common in US soil here. You have heard of doctors who are giving you umbilical cord blood. Okay, now bear in mind, we have been using umbilical cord blood for the last 25 years or further. Okay, we do all kinds of cells. We do the human. When you talk about human, we have the autologous, that means within your own body. And we also have from another person. We call it allogenic. It could be from your grandson, your granddaughter, or your father, your son or whoever, a younger person. Now, if someone would ask me a question, Mike, should I take the cells from myself or should I take it from my grandson? Of course, I would say from your grandson is better than from you because you're older. You are as old, and the cells and your organs are as old biologically. The word is biologically. You could be even older than your chronological age. Please understand. Because all the 220 organs have a shelf life. Every organs have a shelf life, and they have different type of shelf life. And it appears it will go with different people with a different lifestyle. For a sportsman, he tends to have the pain or the cartilage or injury faster in his later life, in his mid-40s. So this applies again. Now, what is so unique about the umbilical cord blood is they contain 2 types of stem cells. 2 out of the 473. What are they? The mesenchymal cells, which you have been hearing a lot. Okay? Where you have been hearing all the time in US and many parts of the world. Now, Dr. D did mention in his presentation yesterday, the mesenchymal cells will do the stimulation. The mesenchymal cells are multipotent. They can turn into the tissue. They can turn into 7 types of cells. Okay, but the mesenchymal cells will never turn into other certain cells like the neurons, or the eye cells, or the liver cells, or the heart cells. They don't turn into everything. They may turn into 7 different types, and the chances of turning may not be that what you thought to be. That is important. You must take note. Now, but for the other type of cells, we call it hematopoietic cells, which is for blood disorder. If someone has leukemia or thalassemia, yes, it will work quite well. Umbilical cord blood is good for the immune system and for blood disorder like leukemia and thalassemia. All right. Next, move to another one. We call it the autologous, where you get it from yourself, and allogenic will be from someone. Again, there's always a rejection when you get it from someone. You have to understand that too. There is rejection. Again, what you found there? You only have the mesenchymal cells here. The 1 out of 473 types of cells. So you don't expect you want something for your brain with the mesenchymal cells, because it will never homes. You see, every cells will home. They have an address. If you give a kidney cells or a kidney peptides, it will home back to the kidney. You give the eye cells, it will home back to the eye. You give the brain cells, let's say, then you have to home back to the brain. You will not home to everywhere. So mesenchymal cells will only do the stimulations. You will not do the repair in a big stage because it's not homing. All right? Now, move further down. There's a lot of good things here. The Japanese invented and introduced iPSC, induced pluripotent cells, to the world. And that guy won a Nobel Prize. Okay? Now, you have to understand, this is still a reality. This is not a reality yet. It's still under research. The reality of it will only happen in 20 to 25 years from today. There's still a long time. But you know, in the marketing world or in the internet, someone will say, oh, we have iPSC already. We have the induced pluripotent cells. We can turn it. Now, what is the story about here? It is to get it from the bone marrow or from the mesenchymal cells to go backwards, back into the embryonic stage, and then move back from embryonic stage to a precursor stage. Let's say you want to turn into a brain, you want to turn into a liver. Now, why must you keep turning like this? Because you may never turn the right way too. That is my question. All right. So so far there's still a lot of study ongoing. Okay. This is top-notch science, but it has not been turned into reality. Okay. Now, again, there was something very unique, which was not heard of very much in America. It is in Mexico. The South Americans went to Europe. They learned a lot about this because there was a few German doctors who went down to Tijuana in the old days. When they started, there was one Professor Kunal, who is also one of my mentors. Many years ago, he was treating a lot of patients. He came to USA, but he was kicked out by FDA USA and have to reside in Tijuana. Okay, those days. He had died long time ago at the age of 92. Now, what is so special here is, remember I was saying the human body had 473 cells. Okay? Now, we are going to extract the cells from the different parts of the organs, and we are going to give that particular cell for a particular problem. If you have a vision problem, okay, you don't see very well after 40 because the lifespan of your eyes start to drop, the age span of your eyes start to deteriorate at 40. So you tend to have some vision problem. You need the eye cells. And I'll give the mesenchymal cells for the eye, it won't work. Okay, so to have the eye cells, you must also give back the eye stem cells or the eye cells or the peptides. Now then you're getting a bit confused here. What the hell is this, Mike? You're talking about stem cells, talking about cells, talking about peptides. Okay, stem cells, remember, the queen bees and the bees. Remember it forever. You only have a certain amount of queen bees. So those are the super cells. Of course, they are the best cells. They are the queen bees, they have all the nutrients. All right? Now, the cells also work, but you will not work as good as the stem cells. Go further down. You extract a component from the stem cells. You extract a component from the live cells. Okay? Those will be what we call extracts or peptides. So the word peptides come in again now. All right? So again, in US, there's a lot of mentioning about peptides. Now, you have also synthetic peptides. And here we are talking about target-specific peptides. Okay? They are the lesser cost materials, and they could be a solution for some of your health problems too. Okay? But in very chronic disease, the peptides itself may not be good enough. You need the stem cells plus the peptide. Okay? So you understand the definition now to a certain extent? Okay, put it in another way. You have espresso, right? You can also make it into a very strong espresso, very thick espresso, okay, bitter. But you can also make one espresso, add a lot of water, and it becomes 8,000 cups for 8,000 people instead of for one person. This is manufacturing. Manufacturer will always cut costs and optimize their costs too, and they can sell more. All right? So this is a situation you have to understand now. Why certain things will work and why certain things seems like you inject a lot of times, you have it, but it won't work very well. And you're hoping it to work. So this is the time you have to ask questions in the later part. Why I want this? Why I don't want this? Can you prove to me this is this? You know? Because you're giving something we thought it will work and it never worked. Okay. Coming back to this, you all know you have 10 different systems in your body. 10 types of systems. For example, the skeletal system, the digestive system, blah, 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 all listed here, okay? Now, what is inside all this system, okay? The organs, which are the organs and the tissue, which I mentioned here, 220 of them, all right? And what is inside the organs and the tissue? The cells and the stem cells, okay? You have a disease, you don't feel well, it's because there was a disorganization on a downgrading of the system here. So you have to repair the system back with the organs and the tissue. To repair the organs and the tissue, you have to go down to the cells and the stem cells. So that is the reason why you need the stem cells. So if I have a fatty liver, okay, and the enzymes will be going very high. So that means to say, I have to give the liver cells or the liver stem cells. But if I were to go into a very advanced stage, like I say, there's a hepatocyte among the 75 cells of the liver, I give you the hepatocyte. That will work even better. Okay? But to get the hepatocyte from the whole liver with the 75 cells, you have to do isolation. We are one of the few companies in the world who do isolation. And I strongly go for isolation because we want to have the best results here. So to go through the isolation means we have also to go through a culturing process, which will take us around 11 days minimum. So that's what we are doing in the lab all the time, okay? Now, so you understand now why you need the cells and the stem cells, okay? Because this is to repair at the cellular level. You are aging is because your cellular system is going down. That's why you must repair back at the cellular level, Simple as that, okay? Now, this is another example to tell you that your system is going downhill as you age very fast. You're aging at a very fast age, but like I say, you can do reversals. The brain starts to age at 20. At 20, you start to age, but the frontal lobe of a brain is only fully formed by the age of 25. That means before you're fully developed, you're already aging. Okay, can you imagine that? And you have to look carefully, okay? Everything have a lifespan, okay? And what about the eye? We say 40. The voice is starting to change at 65, okay? The lungs is aging at 20. Oh my God, it's going very fast. But you notice the liver is a strong one at 70, okay? That's why you have a lot of drinkers and they still have good liver, okay? All right? Now, because the liver is regenerative, that is also one of the things you have to understand, okay? Now, muscles start to age at 30. That's why when you do a lot of exercise after 30, or especially in your 40s, you may not have the abs anymore, okay? Instead, you will build up the adipogenesis, the build-up of fats and visceral fats. So there is another way we have to think of to reduce the fats. Of course, we can slim down a person by increasing the metabolic rate, and we have to fine-tune the hormonal imbalances. So that's one way to keep yourself slim, okay? Now, the hair of a person starts to age at 30. I'm so lucky. Everyone is asking, Mike, is your hair real? I say, yes, it's real. I will use the word original. There's no gray hair, okay? Of course, there's a secret, yeah? So we are going to take the stem cells of the hair follicles and we can inject with very thin needles by ourselves and stimulate the hair growth. And the hair will grow as long as there's follicle with the roots. So that's the way to do. You don't need transplant at all. And you'll be surprised this is at a fraction of a cost. It don't cost you a lot of money. So sometimes it's like what Dr. T say, common sense. You know, that applies very well. Now, if you need certain secrets, all you have to do is to write to us. Now, what about your bones? Here we are talking about your bones deteriorating at 35. Of course, we have to take care of our bones and cartilage because every one of us will have a knee pain some point in our life. So you don't wait until you have the pain and then you start to take care. Okay, so in your supplementation or in your therapy, we also have to take care of the cartilage and the bone because the bone is getting lighter. All right. I remember going to the dentist, you know, he said, Mike, I need to do a tooth implant. He extracted one of my tooth. I said, no, you have to fix back a tooth there. He said, sorry, there's not enough bone there to do it. Because you are aging, you don't have enough bone. So I thought of the idea, okay, then I'll give you my stem cell extract of the bone and you start to do the grafting. And I did it to him, I gave it to him and he did it on me, and my bones start to increase. Wow. All right, so that's another way of doing it. Now, I have a good friend here, Dr. Ern from Life Extension. He's a chief scientist. A few months ago, 2 months ago, he was on his way to have stem cells in Bangkok, in my revitalization center, and last minute he had a fall. And he called me up and the cells was ready for him. So the cells was totally lost. Okay, but the sad thing is he had a fall, he was in ICU, he told me, and he had a lot of pain. Of course, it's painful because a few ribs are broken. Okay, so I sent him some microorganelles, which are stem cell extracts of the placenta and the bone. Wow. Yesterday I received a call, a happy call from him. He was telling me, Mike, my nails are growing longer. They are growing at a very fast speed. That means the revitalization is going very fast. So his bone will be recuperating at a very fast speed. Okay? So that's how we have to repair. You go into very specific and you have very good results. Okay? Now, next, the stem cells again. Now, this is something you have to understand. We are talking about different types of stem cells. Now we are going to talk about what are the capabilities. Okay? Now, the early part will be the totipotent and the pluripotent. That is the initial stage of the cells. And you will never mess with those cells. You know why? Like embryonic cells being pluripotent, they can also turn into a cancer cells. When you use the word pluripotent, means they're super. They can differentiate. We don't want cells which are already differentiating because we are so afraid they can go the wrong way. What is a cancer cell? A cancer cell is a cell which turn abnormal. That's why it becomes a cancer cell. So embryonic cells may turn into a cancer cells, and for that reasons, it is only in the research they are doing it, and most of the time we don't do it on human at all. Okay? So next, you talk about multipotent. We have already mentioned about the mesenchymal cells being multipotent. It can only turn into 7 different types of cells, and not all kinds of cells you thought it would turn into. So sometimes, in the word of marketing, sometimes people may mislead, because people will say, stem cells cure Parkinson's disease. Stem cells cure autoimmune disease. Stem cells cure everything. Not true. You have to come very specific now. What type of stem cell you're talking about? You have to ask the question now, because the word is only general. We have to go into very specific. You have to scrutinize, okay? The good cells to use will be the unipotent cells. What do you mean by unipotent cells? They are the cells at the feeder stage. They are going to finish the final stage of differentiation. It's a one-way ticket. They will not go backward. That means to say, if you're in the feeders, you were to take the cells from the feeders, that is where all the cells are formed in the feeders, the 220 organs and tissue. You took those cells, 473 cells, they will never turn back. The liver will always be the liver. The heart will always be the heart. You have to take those cells. And why are you taking those cells? Because they are in the feeder stage. Feeder stage means 0 age. Of course, they're better because they're still inside the mother. Okay? Now, again, can you do that with human today? No. In the Soviet Union in the 80s, yes. In certain part of the world, illegally, yes, they are doing it illegally. But not in a civilized country. There's no way you will be jailed. Okay? So this is the right and the best cells to use. Now, I'm not endorsing the feeder cells here. I don't have to endorse because I do all kinds of cells. I still do the umbilical cord cells. I do still the autologous and allogenic. But sometimes when you come to very specific, we may have to give specific types of cells because our main purpose is to make sure it works. If we don't work, we will never sustain the business. And we have a bad reputation for ourselves. That is important. Now, when we talk about animals, sometimes in certain groups of people, we say, what the hell are you doing? You're using animals? So just imagine that, aren't we not taking animal all the time? We are. We are having steak. We are having some chicken chop or whatever, Is animal died for us all the time. Okay? Now, there are more than 10,000 drugs approved by US FDA of animals' origin. Insulin is one of them. So it's nothing special. You have been taking animals all along with the meat, the red meat and the white meat. Okay? So nothing special about it. So again, would you be a cannibal and take human then? If you have to look at the other side, are you going to take the stem cells of a dead person or another person into your body and have an element of the dead person? So it depends on how you look at life. Okay? But on my side, I always think that I will make sure it won't give me any harm first. And he works. That is more important than anything else. Now, we are working on a principle of like cures like. Similibus similibus curantur in Latin. That is so important. You must have something which works the best for you. Now, let's talk about the liver, the fatty liver. Now, I know there's a lot of supplements around the world. Okay, you probably need some milk thistle for the liver. Okay, for your fatty liver. Now, anything which is bitter is good for your liver. Any food which is bitter is good because the liver is the most bitter organ in the body. Okay, but what is best for your liver? It will always be a liver for a liver. What is best for your brain? A brain for a brain. Alwaysly. What is best for your eye? An eye. What is best for your muscle? The peripheral muscles for the muscles. That will be the best. So what you need is you need the stem cells of those items. And they have to come from the fetal animals. In this case, the fetal animal will be from some very safe, reliable source. Okay, I will explain on that. Now, there's something I'd like to mention about here, which you have to take note. Now, some of us may think of rejection. Okay, conventional doctors practicing medicine all the time, most of them may not be exposed to this European therapy which has been existent for 200 years. It's nothing new. For your information, in Switzerland and Germany today, you can't do autologous stem cells. You can't. They don't allow you to do autologous stem cells, but they allow you animal cell therapy. It was the other way around. You see the point here? So laws are different in different countries. But my point is that In the fetal stage, cells of all animals, including humans, sitting on top of the animal kingdom, they are alike. It is very important. What am I trying to say here? It doesn't matter whether you use a dog to a human or human to a pig. We call it xenotransplantation. And to put it very rightly, we call it xenocell transplantation. We are transplanting cells. We never transplant organ. If you transplant organ, you may have you will have rejection for life. Okay, like what Dr. C say about immunosuppression. Now, if you give the cells, there's no rejection. Imagine there's a lot of people who go for an ICU emergency with an accident. They are transplanted blood. Remember that? Okay, it's all there all the time. So cell therapy has been existent all the time. Now, again, if you were to compare this is coming from us. We do a lot of research. These are the animals of the rabbits, and we compare that with the human. You can see that the structures are very similar. Very, very similar. Just like people were saying, the pig's organs are very close with the human. All right? Now, technology is going so fast. We have to be very open. Japan, one of the top countries in stem cell research today. They have a few Nobel Prize winners in mesenchymal stem cells. They have won a few Nobel Prizes. They are the people who introduced iPSC. Okay? All of a sudden, the Japanese government make a U-turn in 2014. They have silently done 75 research articles on animal to human. And they are not familiar with the pigs, familiar with the sheep or the rabbit, so obviously they're doing on the pigs. And there are 75 published data. Many of them are in Japanese, so most of the time, not many people are aware of that. Of course, there are also some studies on human to animal too. Now, this is a big figure here. The Japanese are very smart. 35 years ago, they learned immunotherapy of cancer treatments from the Germans. Today, they have their own ways of treating cancer patients too. You see, everyone has to learn. We have to learn and share. That's what I always say. We have to share, okay? We cannot be for ourselves, it's for everyone. It's a teamwork here. Now, this is another example I did mention yesterday too. Okay, this is a simple drug. Okay, it's not even, it's a supplements coming from a pig's brain manufactured in Austria, available at a fraction of a cost, and it's for Alzheimer's patient. It was never available in USA. Of course, there's a lot of American doctors who will say, Mike, can you get something for me like this for me when I come to Asia or whatever? Yes, that's what I did for them too. It's nothing special. It's been there. We have something even better than this today, all right? So this is one example to tell you about the cells in the liver. There's so many, so you want the best results. I'm not going to give you everything. I will analyze and get the best for you, okay? So the same things go for autism. When you want to treat autism, you have to understand which part of the brain there's a disorder. Okay, because every autistic children have a different spectrum. So most of the time, we can give a general recommendation. One of them could be the frontal lobe, and one of them could be the hippocampus. But there's many other things more. So imagine if the physician were to use mesenchymal stem cells to treat the brain. Obviously, you will not work. That's why it won't work very well at all. We have been treating autistic children, thousands and thousands of them, for information. It's nothing new for us. We do that all the time, and we see very good results. We've been treating cerebral palsy, we've been treating Down syndrome a lot. Okay. Now, our Prime Minister of, I'm a Malaysian, okay? I'm a Malaysian who spent 30 over years in Europe. The Prime Minister at 94, he still have very good brains to run the country, and medical doctors with the wife 93, he endorses our first stem cell book. The one I'm going to show you here is one of the 5 books we have. Oh, the book is still there, sorry. Okay, now, the book is still there. Now, it is available for the members, the first 2 books. Now, these 2 books have spent a lot of our time. Dr. D and I have spent 3 years together writing this book on stem cells. It's just published in UK officially, and you are the first people who received the book for your information. Okay, because we send the book all the way from UK down. All right. It's also published, approved by the Hong Kong government and the Chinese government. It's very difficult to get a book approved by the Chinese government, and it's approved by Fudan University, the top biotech university of China. Okay, so there's a good part of it. Now, everything you need to know about the stem cell is found here. All your questions you need to ask is here. Okay. Now, the next thing is that the biological medicine book. Everything you need to know how to treat yourself biologically. treat the root of the symptoms and not just the symptoms. I don't believe in treating the symptoms. Okay? Yeah. So if you cannot sleep, don't take the sleeping pill. There's other solution to make you sleep. Okay? So I used to have a lot of people or patients who come to me, Mike, I cannot sleep at all. So I said, come down, go to the clinic. He was sitting on a chair, he's already asleep. Okay? So there's some ways to do that. Of course, the right way to do that is we have to apply some transcranial therapy. Okay? Plus, at the same time, we have to give the pineal gland. You need the pineal gland because the pineal gland is releasing the melatonin. That's why when we treat the patient, we must give the pineal gland here. But you don't expect a pineal gland to be like a sleeping pill. Today you have it, today injected or sublingual, and then immediately you will sleep tonight. No, it don't work that way. It needs some optimization over time. Okay, everything needs a bit of time. Okay, now these are some very important questions. You can snap a picture of it and remember it all the time wherever you are encountered with a situation where someone asks you, I'm going to give you stem cells. Please ask this question, okay, and ask for the proof. Now, what type of stem cells and how many types of them? I have a lot of conditions here. I'm a diabetic, I have fatty liver. I also have some heart problems, okay? I also feel that my kidney is weak and I'm sluggish, and blah, blah, blah. I have so many things. So what type of stem cells you're going to give me now? Okay? Obviously, in this situation, you need the islets of the Langerhans from the pancreas. You probably need the kidney. You also need the liver. You need the heart. Okay? Again, I'm going down very fast. I also need revitalization. Okay, so I need the brain, I need the pituitary gland, my hormones are going down, so I need the adrenals too, okay, and I need to produce testosterone to have the muscle, because without the muscle, I will be having the tummy. So I don't want the tummy, I want the muscle. So this is what we do. What about the lady? She's losing her hormones too. So we are not going to give you exogenous hormones. We are not going to give you HRT. Or BHRT for that matter too, is a labeling here. But if we can do it naturally, we will do it naturally unless we cannot do it. So the body is working in such a wonderful way that it can heal by itself in the first place. So why don't you let it heal by itself? So that is what we want to do. Unless we cannot get it done, then we have to move to another situation. So we also have patients who say, oh, I'm a cancer patient, what should I do? Okay, we have to look at the situation. It's not necessary you must give the chemo first. Because 75% of conventional doctors in Germany and Switzerland, they will not use the chemo or radio first. They don't. They're all medical doctors. But they have their European way that they will fine-tune in another way, because they found out that a lot of cancer patients have heavy metals, a lot of cancer patients have immune system problems, which will be a problem with the gut. They can fine-tune that, but along the way sometimes they can still use the chemo but at reduced dose. So the side effect will be lesser. So there's always a solution, and I always believe in biological medicine, there's always a solution to every disorder. It depends on how you do it. All right? And this has to go with experience. Now, the next question is, how potent are these stem cells you're giving to me? Let's say some physicians or some centers, I'm a physician, I'm buying from some centers, you better prove to me. I want a lab report. I'm not going to just believe what you say. Never believe anything people say totally. You must have some documents to hold. You're not going to buy a property without audited accounts. You're not going to believe that the business is worth a lot of money and you pay a lot of money for the business. It has to be authenticated. Okay, you have to hold the manufacturer or the supplier responsible. So if you are buying from a lab, you better make sure he give you a lab report with all the declaration. Because they may always give you a simple certificate or analysis, but they don't state a lot of things. You have to read very carefully. It's just like an SPA agreement, sales and purchase agreement of buying a property. You are going to read everything thoroughly, right? So it's the same situation here. Now, again, how do you know if they are really stem cells? Because the doctors say they are, and the doctor is relying on the promoter who told him it is, okay? And the doctors believe the promoters. The doctors is not working inside the lab to see it's a stem cell. Okay? So the next thing now is, I still want a document. I'm not going to believe anything. I would never take any supplements without the label. I will analyze the label, and I need the authentication of the label. That's how I look at things, you know. So a lab report is so important that it is a must-have, detailing the cell count, the viability count, the donor details. Now, you already know that a lot of things are given to you by IV, and they say these are stem cells. Now, what if they are not stem cells? Most of the time, they may not be stem cells. Someone could have collected from a gynae office the fats or the placenta fluid or the amniotic fluid, and they deliver to you and say, these are stem cells. Those are supposed to be waste materials. And now they're sold to you at a high cost, and you pay a lot for it, and you expect results from it. You know? So the time is now you have to ask questions, because the doctors are also very busy. Sometimes they don't also ask, they also rely and believe what the manufacturers are doing. Don't trust anyone. Ask. Okay? It's like you buy a car, you must have the registration form. Now, what do you mean by viability count? That means the number of live cells inside the wires. Okay, if I give you 10 different wires or 10 different types of cells, every wire must have a cell count. How many cells are there in this 5 ml wire, let's say, or in this pack of 50 cc? I need to know very well, number one. Number two, how many of them are alive? Let's say only 1% cell count. Viability count. That's terrible. That means most of them are dead cells. Why do I need dead cells into my body? I don't need that. It's poison. Okay? So these are questions you have to ask. The next thing, the donor. This is even more important. Because most of the time when you talk about autologous, you're buying something, allogenic, from another person. Do you have the name of the donor? Have they ever tell you that this is coming from another person? Do you have that name? Do you have the hospital report? What if that guy is having AIDS or having some other disorder? You must have the details of the donor, right? It's not just a collection of the amniotic or placenta fluid and then you start to use it. I will never do that, okay? Neither I will do that for my family, okay? So these are all very important. Again, cell count. This is also a very catchy question. Somebody will say, oh, I'm going to give you a stem cell, 200 million cell count. Wow, you're so happy, 200 million, you know. And they took it from you, let's say autologous. Within the next day, they say 200 million is injected. No, it's not difficult to increase the cell count. It's like putting you on a hot sun. What are you going to do under the hot sun? You run faster. Okay, in a cold weather, you're going to walk slower. Okay, it's the same with the cells. You increase the temperature by 1 degree, the huge amount of cell count will increase. So what we want is not just the cell count, it's the quality of the cells. So these come to the questions of chronological age too. And that's the reason why if I were to use my own cells or I use my grandson's cells, then I'd rather use my grandson's cells. It's suitable for me. Okay, but again, in my grandson or in my cells, I only had the mesenchymal cells. Now I'm a diabetic guy. I need islets of Langerhans. Can I get the stem cells here from my grandson? No, I can't, because there's no islets of the Langerhans cells there. So that is the point. That's the reason why you use animal in this case. Again, for the physician, sometimes they can blend the autologous or the allogenic with the animal too, peptides. There's a lot of ways to work around this. You have A, B, C, D, E, F, G. You can blend A with D, B with C. This is how we work. Okay, we think of the best solution to work. The most important thing is the solution. Now, of course, for those who are not doctors, you don't have to worry of this because we provide all the protocols. Okay, all the protocols. Even for the physician, we will always provide the protocols. So this is a very important thing. Ask for nothing. I want the lab report first. That is more important than anything. And hold them responsible. You have something, you can hold people responsible. Okay. Now, how do we trace the cells and the potency of the cells? It has to be traced. If that guy say, oh, these are stem cells, okay, show me your proof, the lab report. How do you trace them? There must be a proper lab to trace them. So far, most of the people are providing you stem cells without even telling you, without showing any lab report to trace the cells. So are they really stem cells? Now, please bear in mind, cells and stem cells, there's a lot of difference. One is the bee and one is a queen bee. Obviously, you pay for the queen bee, you must have the queen bee. Okay, so this is very, very important. So the report must be there. Now, to trace the cells, the labs, sometimes the labs, some of the good labs, most of the time they don't invest. Okay, you need a flow cytometer, which costs around 200,000 US. okay, or more. You need other devices to trace it. You have to track it, and every cell is different. This is coming from our side. I think in Dr. Steve's presentation yesterday, you also have some chart of this. Now, the one in red are your pancreatic cells, okay? We go through a fluorescence emissions and we trace them out, okay? It is important and it has to be proven. Next, safety now. We have to talk about safety. Everything works, but what about the safety? I want to make sure I'm safe with this. I won't have side effect over time. Now, in 2006 to 2018, we have been treating 600 Down syndrome children in Malaysia alone. Of course, there are many Down syndrome in many parts of the world in the Middle East, but we want to prove that it's very safe even for babies as young as 6 weeks old. 6 weeks old Down syndrome children. We treated them, of course, in a Muslim country, many more all over the place. Okay, there were some patients, babies or children, one time or some 2 times or whatever. 932 wires has been given, and the only thing we found out was there was only 2 cases of mild rashes. Everyone is talking about, oh, you injected this animal material, you probably will have anaphylactic shock. Now, for 35 years in this business, I yet to see one single case of anaphylactic shock. Okay, 0, never. Okay, so that is what we want to prove. Of course, we have people who want to validate us. They go all the way and they validate. Okay, it is also important to be validated. Okay, for your information, in one of our hospitals, Villa Medical in Germany, they have a history of 57 years in the business. They have been injected more than 65,000 patients on cell therapy. 65,000 cases. There's a huge data of patients will be injected with the cells. And so it is strong, but it's not the only place with the injection of the cells. Now, safety measures you need to through now. The first thing is, are you using an FDA certified with the SPF close cloning? This is coming with the approval with US FDA. You'll be surprised. We are buying the sheep and rabbits from US FDA approved centers. Okay, we are not buying from other places. Why? We also want the certification. We want to be responsible and hold someone responsible too. Okay, these are the safest animal because it's used in all the top medical university of the world. Medical university where they use medical laboratory animals. We only believe in laboratory animals. You have to pay a lot. For example, I'm saying one rabbit in Europe costs $1. This will be $1,200. So there's a lot of difference here. But you have to have the quality and the safety. The same for the sheep. It's not a sheep in the street or sheep in the farm or slaughtered animals. But you'll be surprised. Even in Germany, there's still a lot of suppliers who give you slaughtered animals. Okay? Now, if I go to a restaurant and I want to choose the best fish, I want something which is swimming because it's alive. And when I take the fish, into the kitchen, it was taken alive. So the meat are fresher. The same things go for this technology. That's why you need the feeder stage, okay? Because that it will be the best. Again, I have to explain scientifically why the feeder stage now. Why don't you let the animal be born out, then you take? Now, when the animal is born out, antigenicity will come in because the baby will suck the milk of the mother and fill up into the stomach with bacteria. So that is one of the reasons we never use, we call it the juvenile animals. Yes, there are people who use it too, because within the 7 days of a sheep, we still call it juvenile. But in our case, we try not to do the juvenile. We prefer what is inside. Now again, are there anything done on the cruelty on the animal? No. We do not believe in any cruelty. We are animal lovers. Okay? So there's always a way to kill an animal without the animal realizing it. Cut the supply of oxygen and blood flow to the brain. The animal dies without even realizing it. It's a sudden death. The mother do not know. Again, with the sheep, sometimes, and most of the time, we may not even kill the mother. We do a cesarean, and it will not affect the mother. The mother will be then continue to live. Okay. Now, the next thing is, of course, I have a personal encounter with the Dalai Lama, senior disciple many years ago. There was something in my mind that I was killing a lot of animals, thousands and thousands. Okay. And same for Michelle and my lab team. So I was telling myself sometimes, during my sleep those days, sometimes I don't sleep very well because I was telling myself, Mike, you make money, but you also slaughter all the animals. In your next life, you could be an animal. Okay? It could be karma. Okay? I believe in karma too, So what did I did, There was something I didn't tell my wife until today. Because I don't want to put that into her mind. Okay, so I sleep only 4-5 hours a day, averagely, and yet I don't have the quality sleep. It's difficult for me, okay? So one day I went to Sichuan, which is close to Tibet, and so turned out one of my patients, a diabetic patient, for a wonderful result because he can't see, and I treated him, and he started to see and drive the car. He's a staunch disciple of the Dalai Lama. He brought some top professor from Beijing University who are senior disciple of the Dalai Lama. I met him. And he's saying, Mike, why don't you explain how you do it, the stem cells with the animals? And for the first time in my life, I was never a confident guy anymore because you're talking about killing animals in front of a top Buddhist guy, okay? But after our lectures with our doctors, he was surprised that he said, Mike, you and your team is doing the right thing because you are saving the babies and the mankind. There's nothing wrong for a life because you're saving the children. Now, of course, I have another question. I'm also treating a lot of the rich and famous. Okay? They come here with nothing much. They want to be younger. They want to be fitter. They want to look good. So you're making money out of this, and you make a lot of money. Okay? So the next question is, I have to have a personal 4-hour encounter with this Dalai Lama to talk about this. Senior disciple. Okay? His team of people. One of them is a professor in Beijing University. Now, he posed me a question with a good laugh. Okay? And he said, Mike, these people, you are saying that they are rich, they are famous, they have all the money, and they come to you without much problem, right? I say yes. But will they in some point of their life be a diabetic? Will they in some point in life having a heart problem, judging at their current condition now? I say yes, obviously they will. So he say, good, then you're on the fine track. Because they are meant to come to you. They are destined to come to you. It is a good moment for you, and fate put you together to treat them. I sleep well after that. Okay, that is my quality sleep for the next few years from now. I'll be sleeping very well. I only sleep 4 to 5 hours a day. Sometimes, if 6 hours is already a luxury for me. Okay. But I have very quality sleep. I don't wake up at all. I wake up at the right time. So it's all with the timing. Coming back to the jet lag, I always program the time when I get into the plane, put the time to the destination time. So my mind is over the brain. You use your mind over the brain that you are going to reach at that time. You are gaining time when you're coming from Asia to USA. I was so happy. I'm stealing time. I tell myself, so I'm more sleep. So that is the way you have to program your mind. Everything is in the mind, right? Okay. Good. Now, these are some of the certification you must have, and this is coming from US authorities. Okay? The certified close current is coming from Charles River, one of the top company, listed company, big company suppliers to the medical community. And again, the SPF animals we are one and the few to have SPF certification. And what is SPF certification? Now, it means specific pathogen free. These are all medical laboratory animals, where they are free from all the pathogens. They are disease-free without any virus. These materials are even safer than the animals, than the human. They are human because they are not exposed. Okay? The good part is that you have to understand, to transport these animals to Europe or any parts of the world, they are traveling first class because the plane has to be chartered. And you can only put a limited amount. Even for rabbits, you only put 20 of them in a chartered plane. So they are really much comfortable than the human. Okay, they're staying in a condition where the air is totally free, clean. So they live even, I was telling the lab people in our team, you will have longer life because you are in the air where it's much cleaner, and free from bacteria. So this is very important. This is the future of medicine. All animals' materials must be of SPF quality. Why are not the others doing that? Cost. Cost is the main factor on things being done, okay? In our case, we don't compromise at cost. We never compromise of cost. If we have to treat a patient and we have to lose money to treat the patient, we will still go ahead and treat the patient. We cannot stop halfway. There's a many situations where we found out that we may have to go for some extra therapy for the patients. We bear all the costs because we had to ensure that the patient's hopes on us are well granted to them. All right, now, manufacturing process. So far, you've been buying a lot of things. Have you seen the lab? Even for the physicians, They show you something, these are stem cells. Have you really seen the lab? Have they shown you the video of the lab? Is there such a lab in existence? Most of the time we are buying something we don't even know. Okay? Same for the physicians. They are buying something they don't even know because they were not shown the lab or proof of the lab. If it is a real lab, they should be showing the lab to the physician. That's what I'm doing, okay? We show the lab to our people who come to Europe. We show them everything. This is an example of a lab where all the physicians will drop by and they see it. Every now and then we have physicians who visited us, okay? We arrange the time, okay? Now, back to quality. Remember the cappuccino with the espresso with 8,000 cups. It's the same here. Everything is a dilution factor. You can dilute and make it sell at a cheaper cost and make more money. Okay, so this is my general assumption, general where we produce everything. We produce the Tata car, we produce the Toyota Corolla, we produce Honda Accord, we produce the Mercedes S-Class, we produce a Rolls-Royce. Okay, we produce almost everything. But again, we go according to your requirements. Sometimes you don't need the strong one, you need the lesser strong one, you pay lesser. Now, so if the 6-star, we call it the 6-star, that would be the precursor stem cells, we need 60 fetuses to make one 5 ml wire. And imagine the same thing when you go to the live cell is 1, we call it the 5-star, 1 will make 6 to 8. 60 to 1 and 1 is a 6 to 8 is a lot of difference already. 6-star and 5-star. You go further down, there's one we say, 1 fetus will make 6,005 to 8,005. There's a lot of dilution here. Okay, so look into that. So this is a time where the lab reports comes into all this to understand more. Now again, storage and handling, this is also very important. If you find that they are storing like this, obviously there's a lot of things which may get wrong and you will be given the wrong prescription along the way. Sometimes the doctor makes the right prescription, but there was human error along the way. Okay, handling, very important. You know when you travel, your luggage is stuck in the rain or in the plane. When you come out from the plane, it's under the sun. Okay, this is not the way. It should be in this way. They comes in refrigerated containers. Okay, this is another way to do the handling. Now again, credential. Always buy from someone with credentials. Don't just buy from someone without a history of that someone or that company. You have to analyze and do a bit of duty. Okay, I always believe that. Now, on our case or in our companies or group of companies where I'm a consultant now, we always insist on good credentials. We always insist on certifications. We have won a lot of innovations award across the world for innovations, okay, and certification. Now this is one of the book here which I just introduced. Okay, for those members of People Unlimited, you're actually buying it at a very cheap cost. For your information, it's almost 40% or 50% cheaper than what you would get at Amazon. Okay, it is special for People Unlimited, and I'm saying that whatever sold here, 10% of the proceeds will go into the funding of People Unlimited. It's with a heart we are trying to do this for all the members. We want you all to have good health, okay? Unlimited heart for People Unlimited, and unlimited health benefits, okay? And education and knowledge. Oh, okay. All right. Now there's another book here where you can. We have many books. It's not just the 3 books. Okay. There are many other books. If someone say, "I would like to have a book on autism," yes, we have one book on autism. Okay. So we learn from everyone, and then we come up with our publication. We have 20 over publications. Dr. D is one of the main guys who is controlling, working very close with our research team of PhD holders and the medical doctors. Now, my question now is like this. You all know this is incurable in the conventional world. We have done thousands and thousands of them. It's nothing new to us. Okay, did you see something different here? This girl, at this age, 1.5 to her at 10 years, her face looks so normal. The face is the brain of a person. The first thing we talk to someone is we observe their brain. And the next thing I look at is their teeth, because their teeth will tell their age. Okay, that's how we observe a person. Now, the same thing goes for this boy. Even at a 9.5 years old down, within 1 year, he changed a lot. So if this can be done, you know, for people with neuro disorder, okay, so my question is now, I have a lot of questions of patients asking me, "Mike, can you make my son smarter? Okay, can you make my baby smarter? Okay, if you can do for the down, why not my baby, you know? I want my son to be smarter." My answer will be yes. Give them the brain cells. Give them the brain peptides. because we can give you the frontal lobe. Then your memory power will be super. And we need that to a certain extent. We must complement, okay? All right, now this is one of my centers in Bangkok. You notice our centers are all very high-end centers. This is right inside Intercontinental. This is only a 5-star center of ours. We even have 6-star centers across the world. We will hope to work on one here with People Unlimited. A nice center to provide all the health checks and all the health benefits, but we can't do the stem cell here. We still have to move to Mexico to do the stem cell, but we cut down a lot of costs. The main thing is cost. Most of the time, if costs are too high, people cannot afford it, and it's not fair to the community. I believe medicine has to be sold at a cheap cost to a certain extent. Okay, now, I'm open to question now. And anything you can write here and contact us, and I'm pleased to answer all the questions at all time. Okay, I have 1,000 emails and WhatsApp and WeChat a day. I answer them every day. Wow. I finish all of them before I sleep. So my earliest time to sleep is 4:30 a.m. I wake up at 8:30. Okay, so I still have to take care of myself. Yes, I maintain it very well so far. Dr. D has been taking care of me, and of course, I also take care of myself too. All right. I run faster than my 3 boys, including the one 18th who is a taekwondo expert. Okay, he's going to get his black belt, and he's a fitness guy. You know, he's totally fit. But I run faster than him, for your information. All right. So that's a way. Okay. Okay. I am 58, but I think I'm 48, and I like that. And I'm very sure we can make all the older one of us to become much, much younger. Give them the muscles, give them the lungs, okay? Give them the brain. Give them the placenta to burn off the fats and the lipids. Take away the lipids, okay? All right, question time. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
So,
thank you.
yeah, we have time for a few questions. Also, just to remind you, this presentation is available. All these slides are going to be available on the People Unlimited Inc. So peopleunlimitedinc.com under Ageless Education. So you can always get our presenters' slides there. So, questions? Yeah.
Thank you, Dr. Chan. It was a privilege to hear you. My child, Manuela, you saw her expressing yesterday, she's just about to lose her teeth very soon, milk teeth.
Okay.
Right? Yeah. I read that they store a lot of stem cells, these teeth, not to throw them away because eventually it could be used for future purpose. How can you preserve that? Do you need a special, can you freeze them, or do you have to take them to a cryo clinic?
I'm going to answer your question. Okay.
I have another question, but...
Okay, okay. Now, the stem cells all over your body. Remember that, in all over your organs. Okay, it's just that the stem cells age like the cells. The stem cells also age. So the quality of the stem cells also drop as you age. It's not only deteriorating the number one. Of course, there are stem cells found in the teeth. There are stem cells found in different parts of your body, even in your fats, and you can store them. The question now is, do you need to store them? Okay? And pay the yearly requirements or fee. Okay? For your information, in Europe, there's no cord blood banking. Because in Europe, the price of selling something for money, blood, is not allowed. You can't do umbilical cord blood in Europe. So you will look into Europe, in Switzerland or Germany or Belgium or France, there isn't such thing as umbilical cord blood banking. Of course, in US you have it because it was an American idea. Okay, and it spread to Asia and everyone makes a lot of money. The liquid nitrogen doesn't cost a lot of money. All right, of course I hope I'm not making some people unhappy about this. Okay, but the point, this is the real fact. You don't need to, because if you need the cells, you can ask for that cells, it can be produced. And the problem with storage is sometimes you're storing by the number of wires. Sometimes it may not be enough. On our research site, yes, we do storage of cells. Okay, so again, someone say, I can store the teeth, I can store something. Yes, you can, but The point is, do you need to store them? Why are you paying money where you may not need it? The chances of cord blood banking being used in the later part, the chances is very low. It's 1 out of 7,500 for the donor, okay? Or 1 out of 3,750 for the donor and 7,500 for the siblings. For the parents, it's 15,000. Again, when the time comes, what do you find in the mesenchymal cells or with the hematopoietic cells from the storage from the cord blood? You don't have other cells. So if the patient run into a neuro disorder or a heart problem, you still will not work. So the storage is useless to a certain extent. And the guidelines is 10 years to store. Okay.
That's great, thank you. The other question is, you mentioned that there is stem cell treatment for, I was diagnosed with always had high blood pressure, but for the last 3 months I've been taking medication because it was very, very high. So you mentioned that there is a particular stem cell treatment to hypertension. How is the rate of success with this treatment?
Now, of course, if you have high blood, of course, the doctors is already giving you maybe Micardis or some other drugs to put the pressure down. Obviously, you're taking medication because you also see footballers running on the field, all of a sudden they fell down and they already die of stroke, heart attack, So you have to take care the moment your pressure is high. This is our general observation among our doctors with the patient. But of course, you can take care of your heart in another good way too. What is inside your heart? The heart muscles. You can make your heart muscles stronger. So you take a cardiomyoblast. It can be the stem cells or the stem cell extracts, which doesn't cost you a lot of money to maintain. Again, I always say the question, what is best for the liver and what is best for the heart? A heart for a heart, a liver for a liver. You can have some heart supplementation, but still, the best is still a heart for a heart. And that is the best. And like I say, not everything is as expensive as you thought to be. Okay, they can be very available at a very cheap cost, and it works. Yeah. Next. Yeah.
So, thank you for your presentation. It was amazing. So, I just have a kind of a follow-up question too. You mentioned that we consume animal products pretty much in any different form.
Yes.
But that, and I don't know if, okay. So, but that gets kind of digested through our digestive system, right? But the cells go straight into the cells.
Yes.
So what is the difference? Like, is there a side effect, like years down the line, where maybe a person that takes those animal stem cells and then wants to, like, let's say, have produce a child? Is there some kind of side effects to that?
No, you won't. Okay, I'm going to answer this question. This is quite a common question. Of course, it's all found in the book with all the answers. Now, you have been taking a steak, you've been taking pigs, pork, or maybe rabbit meat, where you won't have the ears of the rabbit, You don't, okay, number one. Number two, okay, now, the stem cells we are talking about will be injected into the vessels. It goes straight into the bloodstream. And then it will home within 48 to 72 hours. Of course, you also have supplements. Okay, when we have supplements, it will go through, if it's in the tablet form or capsule form, yes, you'll go to the digestive system, and most of the time supplements will not be totally absorbed. Okay, that is because you also have a lot of hydrochloric acid which destroy, okay, the digestive system. So when we spend 20 years of our life experimental on the injectables in Europe to turn it into a sublingual, because we also have a lot of stroke patients or children who cannot act much and they don't like to be injected. So we create the injection into 2 nanometers, and we won an innovation award a couple of years ago on this. We won 2 international awards. We create an injection into sublingual form that it can go through the mucosa of the tongue, because your mucosa of the tongue and your skin pore is 50 to 75 nanometers, and this is 2 nanometers. So it will totally be absorbed inside. Okay, so you put it around your mouth, and then you gargle for 10 to 20 seconds, and then you just drink it off. 10% is active ingredient. This is a very advanced form of nanotechnology. We should have done it since 2007 when we introduced to the world. Okay, so this is the way to go. So they go straight into your bloodstream, although it was ingested sublingually, okay? Because the tongue, the mucosa is part of the digestive tract. Yeah, okay.
My question is, if I want to do, I don't want to wait to deteriorate with my skin. I want to do, I want to do before, so as soon as possible. So how do I reach to do it for you, to you? And you mentioned last night that you can send me the vial. Or,
yes, now.
And then how can I use it? Who can
it's
put
so
it
easy
in me?
to do that.
So
easy.
And is it a stem cells or peptide? And why don't you do the stem cells instead of the peptide? I want all this to be clarified, okay?
Okay, I'm going to answer you.
Thank you.
I love that because I love to make the ladies who have very beautiful skin. Because in Asia, all the ladies must have beautiful skin. They must have smooth skins too, okay? Of course, that's the purpose, you see? The ladies must also have the good shape. So we have to fine-tune their shape too, you know? I hope one day you see Michelle, my wife, she's 58 too. She have a shape better than a lot of my colleagues of 20 years old or below, or older. Because she also have to maintain, she have 3 boys. But she is shapy, I will say that, okay? Yeah, so she have to take care. There's always a secret to do that, okay? It's not just with the diet, of course you have to go with discipline, but there's also something you need the physician to help you. Or you need people who fine-tune for you the right way. Because to me, slimming is never a problem. Okay, I eat a lot. I eat much more than Dr. D. He can see that. I eat a lot much more than my colleagues who is 20 or 30 years old. I burn at a very fast rate because I have good burning power. So of course you can fine tune and boost up the burn. Yeah, the metabolic rate is important. You only put on weight if you have metabolic problem or you have a hormones problem. So that's why we need your hormones results. So too, all right. Now coming back to your skin. Okay, as you age, the skin start to age too. Okay, when you age, the skin age, of course, dryness with you losing hormones 1 to 2% at the age of 40 toward menopause, you're losing a lot of hormones. Okay, why? Because the ovary is not as strong as before. Okay, the fertility of a female drop at 35. So it's good to bear a child before 35. Number 1. Number 2, you're approaching menopause. So the female hormones are going down. So obviously the skin texture will be different. Okay, now we can fine-tune it with the hormones, of course, after looking at the hormones problem. Your pituitary gland is the master gland. It controls all the hormones and the movement in the body. Okay, now you can send a message down to the adrenals, the female adrenals, which is responsible for your libido. You must have good libido for the woman and the man. Because if you don't have libido, you are already aging very fast. Okay, the sex life must be very strong. And you must have the good sexual urge. That is very, very important. And of course, we can do that easily. That's what we're going to do. Give you the pituitary gland, send a message to the adrenal, send a message down further to the gonads, in this case, the ovary. Okay? So what I'm trying to tell you is, you need a CPU to send a message to the printer to print the paper. The paper is already there. Okay? The CPU is there. So you just send a message down. Because if you don't send, the printer after some time will not print the paper. The ink is out. So it's the same principle here. Okay? Now, coming back to the other general thing. When you talk about good skin, we are also formulators for skincare. Okay? We are one of the first people to formulate glycolic acids in the old days, or AHA in the old days, in the 80s. Okay? So we do a lot of analysis on the skincare because we formulate, okay, in Switzerland. All our products are made in Switzerland. So of course, there are certain things which will moisturize the skin better than the rest. Okay, so you have to solve the moisturizing that is only with cosmetics. Some good cosmetics can do that. But again, you have to understand the skin has a natural barrier. Whatever you put on your skin may not go into your skin because your skin has to protect bacteria. Okay, so there's always a way to do it. Of course, if you were to inject skin peptides into your buttock, the result will be even faster. Okay, because it will homes, okay, and it will go over your place on your skin. Okay, we do that for a lot of wound healing. People with 3rd-degree burns, people with burns, they need to heal the wound very fast. So we can do it very fast through our experience with our doctors. Yeah, so it's never a problem to have good skin or good texture. Neither is it a problem to have muscles.
Well, I check my hormones and my adrenal gland is 10 millimeters. It's still big. Like, as the doctor said, it's like a young person. So I don't have less hormones much, But I really, is it okay that I will prevent my deterioration?
Of course.
Yeah.
We have to prevent. Everyone has to prevent and then do the reversal and then do the delay.
So when you're able to do that in
Yes, easily.
us?
The first thing we have will be your blood test report, the pathological test plus the hormones test. Okay, that's the first thing our medical team will look to it. And then from then they will do the advice to you what is the protocols or step to do. You see, there are always solutions. Please understand there's always a solution to everything. And some of the solution may be a cheaper alternative. If you find you don't need to spend so much, why must you spend so much? It's just like a supplement. You don't have to take all the supplements in the world because your liver is not meant to take everything. The more thing you take which is not necessary, the liver and the kidney have to work. Okay? So there's a lifespan on the liver and the kidney. Remember, the liver is 70 years old, but the kidney is younger, you know. So we have to be careful with what we are taking too. But if it's meant to help you, yes, by all means. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Excellent.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Now, I sincerely think Dr. D and I, we have a big team here of research team. Okay. I also wish to let you know whatever we make in our 35 years is all plowed back to the company. So we expand at a very fast pace. Okay, just like we say, I told you I started everything with $10,000, okay, to an empire today of 1,000 over employees all over the world. But whatever we make, it really went back to the research. We do a lot of things for research. To us, we are research people. We must do the best. What is the best thing which makes your day, I always say, okay? When you receive a good note from a patient who say, Mike, I have this, it makes my whole day very happy. We have to give and we have to share. That's how I always use the word, life is beautiful. I always think life is beautiful. Okay? So when I walk along, you know, every morning, and when I wake up in the morning, when I walk to the alley across my house, it's always and I always like, what is it? Okay? Thank you. Okay.